So first you're going to want to remove your tank here. There's two screws here, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and then you want to get a screwdriver in here on this guy, and you're just going to relieve the tension. I've already pretty much done that on that there, and that just pops off. Put my hand in there. Okay, I've already got that one. Make sure you've drained your system down enough. You don't have to drain it completely, just enough so that you don't have any leaking going on. And so let's get that off. So I've got that undone. This just slides right out. As long as you keep it so that any liquid is lower than the little outlet there, then you're good to go. But yeah, not much to that. Okay, our next step is we need to release the tension on this tensioner. Undo the bolt on the tensioner. Oh, we don't have to undo the bolt. No, we just want to release the, take the pressure off the tensioner and remove the belt, because it's all part of this mechanism. All in here, we're gonna have to take this off too, but let's do this. That is a 15 millimeter. I'm using a nice long breaker bar here, which I just got to fit in there, because that'll just make it way easier on me. So you can see here, the light is playing havoc, but if I go and I relieve the tension, you can see that the belt, see how the belt is loosening up? Watch, boom, tight. Now it's loosening up. So now, do that, take your belt off. I need two hands though. I should say, I just stopped, I didn't take it off. Before you take it off, if you do not know the diagram, how this belt goes back on, grab yourself a piece of paper and do a quick diagram of how this belt is routed, and it will make your life way easier when you go to put everything back together. So do that. Well, yeah, you can see that bolt's actually pretty long. So it's good to have that diagram once you get it off. Anyways, that's off. There's that. And now we're down to this. There's your tensioner. Next up, alternator. Before you start with the alternator, remember, disconnect your negative battery cable. You want to make sure you do that. Alright, so we've got to undo this. So you pull your boot back. That is a 13. I've already loosened it. Take that off, and you can pull your plug here. There's a clip on the back here. Pull up on the clip. Don't break the clip. Pull up on the clip and wiggle it out. There you go. So that's undone. Then we're going to undo this over here. We got this bracket. So that is a, what is that? That's a 10 millimeter there, and 15 seems to work on this one here. So go ahead and remove that, You know, you can take your bar off, and then you can put your nuts back on so you don't forget where everything goes. Same with this, you remove your electrical, and then put your nut back on so you remember where everything goes. Well, I've left this one off. I've taken off the bar, put my nut back there. This one I left off. I've got it there because I need a deep socket for here. I've got a 15, and a 15 millimeter. So remove, and as far as I can see, this will loosen up the alternator. Alright, got the alternator off. And now you can see in there better. You can see how ridiculous this is. So you've got your coolant, your rad fluid going through this. And then there's one of those 90 degrees. Is this upside down? Let's try this again. All right, there's the alternator. I think my video was upside down for a second. Anyways, look at, you've got your running from your heater, goes through there, and there, get the light in there so you can see that. You see that little 90 degree? There's a 90 degree right down there. That is hard to see. Get the light in there. There's one. There. And then your other one is right, you can see the black right there. Right there. These are crazy. Now I see fluid there. I don't know if that was just from now or from earlier, or if this is that one's actually leaking. But I am changing them. All right, 1, 2. See where we are here. And there's another one down there. There's another one right above the power steering fluid pump. The for filling it is down here. You can see it there. But there's, if you just stick your finger in there, you can feel where that other bolt is. So I have a long socket there. But anyway, so you've got 1, 2 right there. You can see them. My light. 1, 2, and the other one. All right, I've pulled out those 3 bolts. They're all 15 mil, and that's the length of them right there. Well, now comes the fun part. You can see that it's loose. The only thing holding it in is that 90 degree elbow and that 90 degree elbow. Those 2 elbows are holding it in place now. So, somehow you got to get this undone. I'm opting for this bad boy, and I'm going to see if I can slowly, very slowly, pry it so that these do not break off inside the engine. Because that's what happens with them. They do, and then you got to use a little pick to get them out. Well, mine seem to be coming out. I used a very long, thin screwdriver for that one, and then here I used a thick one, and I just budged them just very, very slowly. I just rocked them back and forth a little bit, and they seem to be coming out. Well, I've decided to replace my water pump while I'm in here. Yep, you can see that's where one of the 90 degrees goes. The other 90 degree goes in where my finger is, in there. But anyways, I've taken this pulley off now, which is here. I used a long screwdriver just to stuck it between 2 bolts to hold it as I undid the nuts. There's just 4 little nuts on there. 8mm. So I got those off to give myself some more room. So now I'm gonna start taking off the all of the bolts for the no, I guess those were bolts. They weren't nuts, they were actually bolts, yeah. And now I'm gonna take off all of these bolts for the water pump. Yeah, I'm gonna change that while I'm in here. It's pretty old, so I may as well. I actually have a new radiator on here, and now I will have new elbows, so I may as well change the water pump while I'm at it, because they're really not that expensive, and hopefully my system will be 100% perfect. Alright, so the water pump has 8 bolts total. 4 smaller ones. 3 of them are on top, and one of them is on the very bottom. And then you've got 4, well, 3 long ones so far. My 4th one is fourth one is right there, but it's being blocked by the power steering pump, which is right here. But you can see that bolt. This is the last bolt. So now I've got to take, sorry, this is the last bolt. There it is. Now there's one power steering pulley, or one power steering pump bolt, and then there's another one underneath. I'm gonna have to feel around. Now you get through it because there's actually holes. You see my finger? There's a hole through the pulley, so you can put a deep socket through there. So you've got to take that off to move that to get that last bolt out. Good Lord. All right, well, I've got the two bolts out for the power steering pump fluid. The whole pump thingy, just moved it over a little bit. There's the last bolt for the water pump. And I gave the water pump a little bit of a pry, just a tiny little bit of a screwdriver, and it just popped right off. So that's ready to be changed out now. There's the pump off. There's the outer part. Okay, so you can see where those bolts are. 1, 2, those are big ones. There's a little one. 3, 4, 5, those are two big ones. And then, where were the top ones? 1, 2, 3, I think. Is that right? Well, anyways, you'll feel around and you'll see where they are. That's not one. That's a pin. There's a little pin down there that it hooks onto. See that little pin sticking out? Yeah, so don't lose that. There's that little pin. So the little pin goes there, and then we've got 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 little ones. That's the fourth little one, and then large. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there they are. There's the large one. They're very long, and there's the little ones. And there's the other side. There's the actual pump side. So there's the old water pump. Now if you take it with two hands and you take this and you go try and wiggle it to see if there's looseness in there. I actually feel a little bit of looseness in this one. Not a whole lot, but there is some looseness in there. If you feel it really wiggling, then you know there's a whole lot of play in there and it's not good, right? But anyways, there's a weeping hole on the bottom. Where's my finger here? See the weeping hole? If you see that leaking, which it looks like it was leaking, then you know your water pump's shot. Anyways, here's the new one. So for 50 bucks, I'll change it. Nice and new, nice and tight. When you do this, it's solid. So I guess there's bearings in there or something, and yep, nice and solid. So you know what? While I've got it all apart, I've cleaned all that up. Clean your mating surface there up. You know, just use a rag, use a little knife, and just cleaned it all up. And a new one came with a gasket. I'm also putting some RTV sealant on there, some blue RTV, just as an addition. And I've actually cleaned all of these up with a wire brush. Yep, clean them up, get them all nice and clean. That way they go in much easier. So you can see there's actually two pins here, one there and one there. So when you're putting your new water pump on, make sure you get those little pins in there properly. I just put mine on. See, I just use a little bit of RTV sealant, and you know what? It helps keep the gasket on, for one thing, and then it just helps it sit there until you can get a bolt in there. Start getting a couple of bolts in there and get them all on. Okay, I've got all 8 bolts in there now. Alright, power steering pump back on, water pump on. Old ones off, new ones. Just pop the new ones in. and they went in way harder than the old ones came out. So I guess these little rings serve a purpose. Anyways, let's try and get this sucker back together. Alright, you can see the new ones in place. There. And there. There's their tensioner. So there, good little reference for you there. I pushed them in as far as I could by hand, this whole thing. And then what I did was I tightened the 1, 2, and the third bolt, which is right there. My finger's touching it. Just got to feel around and you feel it. I've tightened those up very slowly, you know, each a little bit, and just snugged it up. And that pushed those in the rest of the way. Alright, well, alternator's back on. Belt is back on. Using the handy dandy diagram, which is great. Now when you put this back on, you see the bottom? There's a little cutout there. And where is that? Boom. See that right there, that white way down there? That's where that goes. It goes on the inside of that. So it just kind of hangs on that bottom part there. So make sure you get that in there. And then the top part, of course, goes on those again. But yeah, that bottom part right there. Alright, so I've got that back on. I looked out for the bottom, hook this back. Oh, let's hook this back on. And then tighten up your little thing there. Might have to do it with a pair of pliers. Tighten those down. I am waiting 24 hours before I fill it for that RTV sealant to completely cure. And I just happen to have the time to do it, and that's what it recommends on the package. So that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want any leaks. So I'm leaving mine go for 24 hours. I'm going to refill it, fire it up, and should be good to go. And that is the end of this video. 2003 Buick Regal 3.8 liter or 3800. So that was water pump and those two little bypass hoses.